Good day, Toronto. Welcome to another episode of Prime Properties TV. So glad you could join me here today. This is going to be one of the newer formats I'm going to try to put more, as I try to put more content onto the YouTube Prime Properties TO channel. I want to take this video to kind of introduce everyone to a project that I'm actually quite excited about, a pre-construction project in Hamilton. I haven't really pushed much pre-construction in the last little bit just because I personally haven't found it make sense, and I haven't personally bought anything as well, just because the prices have become so astronomically high to what like the rental rates we're getting, right? But this kind of reminds me of pre-construction projects that we were buying back in like 2017, 2018, maybe even early 2016, where the price that you're paying can be justified by the rent that you're going to be collecting from it, you know, in a 2-3 year time, even without like drastic 8 to 10% rental increases, right? Because we haven't been able to see projects like this in Toronto for quite some long time, right? So in this video, I'm going to introduce you to the project, which is called One Jarvis by Emblem, and I'm also going to break down some numbers and kind of where it is. Now, for a lot of you who haven't been investing with me, or maybe it's your first video watch about me talking about investments, you'll know that we've been in the Hamilton space for quite some time, and it's kind of been like a little secret project, not even a secret, but like it's just kind of been like a secret for a lot of people because they don't know Hamilton and they don't know what it actually brings in terms of investment numbers, right? So we've been buying like detached homes on what we call the Hamilton Mountain, which is like the suburban part of Hamilton, for years now, and the numbers work really well. You know, back then we were buying at 300,000. Now, like a property there is like 670, maybe almost pushing 700,000 now, with how quickly the market has escalated. And there's a lot of money now because of the suburban part of Hamilton that's being developed. There's more money going into the downtown core. So I'm going to kind of use this video to introduce to you what Hamilton is, what it isn't, because there's a misconception with it. Whenever I tell clients, hey, you should check out Hamilton, they're always like, ugh, Hamilton. Nothing against people from Hamilton. It's a great city, right? But that's just the first kind of expression I usually get from when I tell it to people from Toronto, right? And then I'm gonna go through the numbers, what the project is, and at the end, if you are interested, you can let me know. I'll put my email on the screen because the project's launching this week on the 18th. So this will be coming out today as I record this on the 16th. So you still have time to kind of decide. And the reason why this makes a lot of sense is it really reminds me of like I said earlier, pre-construction from like 3 to 5 years ago, where the numbers and the rents make sense for what you're buying and renting it at. Plus, it's also at a lower entry point. So anyone who's kind of like a first-time investor, you know, has a little bit of money and wants to get their feet wet into real estate investing, this is a good project, right? Because we're going to be starting in the 300s. So I'm going to share my screen with you right now, and I'll bank myself to the corner somewhere. But this right here is basically kind of the fancy, they call it the hero shot, nighttime of One Jarvis. You know, fancy stuff, but let me show you the location. So when you go into Hamilton, all the yellow part, the commercial part, is the downtown part, and you're just on the side over here to the right at One Jarvis Street. It's the intersection of King Williams, or like King, and Jarvis, and I'm going to explain the area a little bit. But the thing that most people kind of envision Hamilton to be is always like a chimney smokestack, right? Because if you see on my screen here, when we're going to, say, Niagara or anywhere in Hamilton, you're going to come through the QEW and you come to an intersection here. If you go through here, which gets to Niagara, which goes through the QEW, what you're going to see is a lot of chimney smokestacks, right? So let me reverse the map here so it makes the orientation. You go through and you see all of this. And you're like, ugh, Hamilton. It's just like a bunch of smokestacks, right? In theory, it's not, right? So One Jarvis is going to be right here. That's downtown Hamilton. And you see this little giant green patch, which we call it the mountain brow, which basically separates Hamilton into what we call the lower city or downtown, and the suburban part of Hamilton, which is over here, right? So we've been buying houses here for quite some time, and they've been doing really well, right? But now the prices have gone to the point where it does make sense to be buying condos at like $300,000-$400,000, where you can actually rent it out. Because we have some like 2-bedroom basement apartments in the west side of Lower City that are renting for like $1,600 now. So you can imagine what the rents are going to be. So the other part is, if you wanted to, going backwards to kind of where Burlington is, you could go through the 403 and it gets you into downtown Hamilton. And over here is McMaster. So that kind of gives you an idea of what Hamilton, where Hamilton is. So when when you kind of get past the chimney smokestacks over here, you're going to get into the downtown core. You can just zoom in from a satellite. If you look, there's actually towers and everything, right? It's an actual city. Hamilton has more than 500,000 people, which is, I think, the third largest city outside of Mississauga, because, let's not call Mississauga a suburb anymore. So it's quite a large place. And even though you see a lot of blue collar workers and kind of like a steel mill, there's actually a lot of hospitals in Hamilton and education in Mac and Mohawk College, where it actually has good quote unquote real estate fundamentals, right? So when we look at the aerial view of Hamilton, you can see this part here is Hamilton downtown. You have West Harbour Go, which will have access into downtown Toronto if you wanted to. There's also Hamilton Centre, which also has some trains as well, right? So One Jarvis is located right here, and it's quite centrally located. You can also see that there's a couple other condos that are going up here, Beasley, Parkloft, Gore Park, and Kiwi, that have already either been building or have started selling. So there is a movement of condos coming into the downtown core. Now, that's situated on a street here called King Williams. This kind of really reminds me of like King West back in the day. A lot of like restaurant owners years ago from Toronto moved to Hamilton because the cost was lower, and they started opening restaurants there. So there's a lot of cool, for lack of a better term, like hipster restaurants that are quite nice, and the food's quite good there, right? So like my wife and I have actually gone there for lunch after some hike in Hamilton, which, by the way, random fact, is the waterfall capital of the world because there's tons of them, right? So it's got a little good space going on there. It's kind of cobblestones. You can walk through it. So it kind of has a little bit of like King West mixed with Yorkville. I'm not saying these things to give you kind of like a cachet go with it, but it really is kind of vibe. And I'm going to take you through a street view version of it to give you an idea of what it looks like. And then you have the Hamilton General here, and you have the Dravinsky Hospital. So you're kind of flanked by two hospitals. And when it comes to hospitals, there are a lot of people who kind of like have shift work, right? So especially at nighttime, they want to be able to walk to where they live and be comfortable and feel safe. So this is why the downtown part here of Hamilton does make a lot of sense. Now, this right here is King Street. And it's just to kind of give you an idea of what it looks like right now. Jarvis is going to be going up in this little block here. Obviously, right now it's being built, but Google hasn't gone through it yet, so you can't really see it. But if you kind of go through the street, right, you can see it's very up and coming. There's like apartments at the top. We call them mixed use CR. There's commercial at the bottom. There's apartments to the left, right? So it's kind of being developed. And the reason why I kind of want to show this to you, because it really reminds me of what King West used to be, right? So this here is King in Portland. You may not recognize what it looks like right now, but this right here, I have it as a street view from 2009. This is one of the first condos that came out in King West way back, even before I got my license. And this was kind of like, for me anyways, was like a kind of like a moment. I was like, oh, what are these condo things that are coming on King West, right? So you can see here, Portland is on this street over here, right? And this right here is Fashion House. It's one of the condos on King West I would recommend. It's built quite well, has a lot of cool amenities. And look, even beside it, look, there's a gas station. Oh, spoiler alert. Okay, that wasn't supposed to happen. Anyway, yeah, so like if I wind back the clock, you could see that there's still a gas station here. And there are tons of parking lots that are still available in right here on King, right? So if we go back to Jarvis, where am I located? Here we go back here. Oh, it went a little bit too far. Okay, went a little bit too far. Yeah, so you can see there's still a lot of parking lots going on here. So they could potentially become condo sites, right? So when you kind of look back at King West 10 years ago, or not 10, like 14 years ago, this is what it looked like. It's surprising because if you look at what King West is now, look at this. It's completely different. This right here is Fashion House. This is the keg that was shown over here. Which one? Yeah, this is right here. This is the keg. So it's become a lot different now. When you go down the street, it's just condos and like high-end commercial. You got King West here that's coming up for like $2,000 a square foot, right? So you can look at this other side. This side of King West is being developed, right? So this is why this project kind of reminds me of One Jarvis reminds me of King West, because the development is happening. There's already $500 million of money that's being poured into it by the city and by the province. So there's a lot of potential. And now I'm going to talk to you about the numbers. So, back in the day, if you're buying this at say 350 back in King West, you can buy this for like $200,000-$300,000, and you could still get rents of $1,500, right? So we're seeing these numbers again at One Jarvis. So if you were to buy something at say 350, which is the starting price, after taxes, call it 2,500, condos fees 300, and I can comfortably say we'll probably get $1,500 for a 1-bedroom right now. You're looking at just about break even, which we haven't seen in the condo pre-construction space for gotta be like since 2017, 2016. And then a lot of those condos, when we were giving this exact same pitch for Toronto in the entertainment district, we're like, yeah, by the time you get possession of it, you're going to be cash flow positive. It's going to make sense because the rents are going up. And when we got them in like 2019, it just blew everyone's mind because like prices almost doubled in the condo space and the rents were at like 2,000 instead of 15, right? Now I'm not saying that's going to happen in Hamilton, but I'm saying there's potential to be there because during the build process, right, you got 2-3 years. The occupancy is 2023, 2024. You got time for the rents to go up and the area to develop so you can actually charge more. So now you're quote unquote buying low on a developing area where it still cash flows. And this is why I think it makes a lot of sense in this project, especially if you're a first time investor trying to get your feet wet. And over here is the last thing I'll show you guys. 80% of the building is under $500,000, right? So you can see here, these yellow highlighted ones are the 1-bedrooms. They're starting in the 435 square feet. So they are kind of like Toronto size, but they're still very functional. And there are a lot of layouts out there right now. The buildings, I think, is 15 or 16 stories right now. So it's not right now, but like it will be 15 or 16 stories. And it's not going to have a ton of units. It's around like the mid 300s to almost 400 units. So it will probably sell it really quickly just because of the price point and how investor friendly it is. So if this makes sense and you want more information, we do have the floor plans already and we're collecting worksheets you can send here. As you can see here. So you can shoot me an email. I'll send it out to you so you can have a little bit of due diligence, and we will be collecting the worksheets, basically starting right now. So if you're interested, let me know. It's designed at Prime Properties Deal. You can shoot me an email about the project, or if you have any questions, let me know. We'll be working on this for the next few days, as there probably, I suspect, will be a lot of interest for a lot of first-time home buyers or anyone who just wants to kind of park their money into something because, the fiat currency is, I'm not going to get into that in other videos. But yeah, hopefully this type of content or this new form of content is useful. If you do like it, give me a thumbs up or make sure to subscribe to the Prime Property channel. If you like the project, shoot me an email. We can discuss about it to maybe get you an allocation and get your unit into the project and get your money invested and working for you. And if there's anything else, maybe feedback for this type of content, let me know in the comment section below. Thanks. I'll see you next time. Your move, your future. Now that you're done watching this one, how about this one? Oh, you know what? This one's good too. Ooh, this one's really good. You know what? Just watch them both.